light shone fleetingly on the man's face, and Molly realised who it was. He removed the girl's lithe arms from his neck, like he was letting her down gently. Molly watched her ponytail swing as they disappeared around the corner. The girl walked like she weighed nothing, almost bouncing, and Molly wondered when she herself had stopped bouncing. Why her feet suddenly felt like lead. Why what was once possibility all around her had suddenly started to feel like traps for grief to catch her. The blood was rising to the top of her finger. It was time to run again. She'd catch the first flight to Dublin in the morning. She turned on the step and slipped into the pounding rain, safe in the knowledge that although she was running again, this time it was towards home. Chapter 1. The Family. 10 days later, Dublin, March 11th, 2019. There's been a little incident. Uncle John stared at us gravely. We had attended enough family meetings to know that the incident could be that he discovered a small bomb at the underpass of the dual carriageway. Equally, we could have run out of mini quiches. He ushered us into the den. A map of Europe stretched across the wall. Red thumbtacks marked Molly's movements like the Allies' progress during the Second World War, if the Allies had moved between damp flats in North London. At the centre of a corkboard was the note she had left her best friend B. The note didn't say where she was going, just that she loved us, but she had to run. Maybe a romance had escalated inconveniently. Maybe she was just bored. Either way, it seemed as if, this time, the incident was that Molly had disappeared again. Uncle John called for silence, but we couldn't help groaning as all 13 of us squeezed in on top of each other. Oasis and Blur's endless limbs sprawled across the floor like delinquent daddy longlegs, and we all craned to avoid Blur's athlete's foot. Angela's rosary beads almost strangled her daughter Anne, who no one realised was huddled under a table. Somehow, in the midst of the chaos, Lady V luxuriated on an armchair in her exercise gear. Her eyebrows arched like a tasered cat. Her nails were painted a lovely pink, like she was friendly and fun, and not a villain from a 1980s movie about a gymnastic competition gone too far. The rest of the aunts were perched on each other's knees like schoolgirls, and Granny sat on the printer. Blur was sending documents to print from his phone, and the tangle of limbs on the floor erupted into laughter when curse words appeared from under Granny's layers. Between that and the fact that Uncle John was wearing a pair of strange military boots for the operation, it was hard to take the whole thing seriously. Besides, half the people in the room were jealous of Molly's jaunt, and the other half were happy to see the back of her. Does everyone present understand the distinction between strategy and tactics? Uncle John was short, so he shouted loudly across the tiny room, fearful of losing our attention. Spit landed on the front row. Halfway through his explanation of the extraction plan, he got worried that we would see how much he was enjoying himself. So he bashed the map of Europe and shouted, "This is serious. Our Molly is missing. Our Molly is off her face having the time of her life in London, while we are planning black ops with a 67-year-old former shoe salesman in suburban Dublin." Lady V. Is off her face the same thing as mindfulness? Aunt Angela. Off her face means on drugs, Angela. I'm actually trying a mindfulness course myself, but last night half the class fell asleep. What I want to know is, why did they sign up for the class if they find it easy to fall asleep? Some of us have genuine anxiety issues. Cousin Bobby. Uncle John detested the hecklers and glared at them accordingly. He started bashing the map again, even though the rest of us were much more interested in Cousin Bobby's anxiety. He was such a tall, strapping former rugby player, it was hard to visualise him meditating. A delayed quarter-life crisis would certainly explain the revolting moustache he was cultivating. It all started with Brexit, Even Stephen. Even Stephen wore those shirts with no collar that made him look non-threatening, like an acupuncturist or a sculptor. He was a conflict resolution specialist, so that was probably part of the ploy. Like when therapists smile politely at you, but they're actually frantically writing in their notebook how crazy you are. It started when she didn't come home at Christmas. We should never have allowed that, Uncle John. It started when she killed that squirrel in Bushy Park when she was 5, Uncle Mike. That rock was much more powerful than expected, and you know it.